So in phase 5, I had a year 10 class who I wanted to be able to think scientifically, and I couldn't really figure out how to do that short of the normal doing practicals and writing them up. And I think the big barrier was they didn't know what thinking scientifically was. So I thought I could use the same techniques, I could use coaching to get them to come up with the way they were going to think. So it was their own idea, they really owned it and they'd thought about it themselves. So in phase 5 spoke to my LDO, and LDOs use coaching a lot, and gathered lots and lots of different ways to coach, spoke through it with my LDO, and sat down and tried to sort of embed coaching in my classroom practice. It worked really well in that by the end of my second year, that class, or most of them, had really begun to think scientifically and could apply it to what they were doing in the classroom and to the experiments that I'd been giving them sort of blindly before that. And I know that because I sat down and evaluated data with my LDO to make sure that what I had done didn't just feel good, but it was actually making a difference to how they thought.
So as phase 4 was coming to an end, I felt like I'd achieved the goals that I'd set myself for the year, particularly with the 2 classes I'd focused on. And I decided that I wanted to stay within teaching and had taken up a role as subject leader for the following year. So for phase 5, I decided with my LDO that I really wanted to refine the vision that I'd written and think further afield about how I would then apply my vision for a whole department rather than just the classes that I had. So we first of all had a conversation where we refined what the vision was and really focused on the values which underpinned it. Once we'd come up with a real clear focus for the next year, we then had a brainstorming activity where we spoke about how these values and how my vision would manifest itself in the everyday and what that would look like and what children would do, what students would be doing, what staff would be doing. And the conversation allowed me then to think about the strategies that I needed to put in place, or the systems I needed to put in place in order to make that happen. So phase 5 was a real sort of planning activity for myself, thinking about the forthcoming year.
During the year, I worked with 2 vision classes. At the end of phase 4, one of the classes were really on track and I was extremely pleased with their progress. However, the other class weren't on track. So I asked my LDO to come in and do a reflective cycle, focusing on how I can make the biggest impact with that class before the end of the year.
So for phase 5, I really worked with my LDO on tracking and data because that was one of my real weaknesses in my second year, and I really found that the training that I received working with my LDO, I went on a CPD session to use tracking more effectively and use data more effectively, and I really found those sessions incredibly useful, and it had such a huge impact on my second year because I was able to track the students' progress through the year, and just for myself personally I could see the progress they were making, but also for the kids. I mean, they were going from level 3A all the way up to a 5C, and I could show them the progress that they were making very visually in the classroom, and incredibly beneficial for Key Stage 4 especially when you're running up to the exams and they just need that last push, and to show them the progress that they've made through the year and how many points they need to get in order to achieve that C in the final exam. It was really powerful, and it gave them a lot of confidence to do well in their GCSEs.